Welcome to Life Happens, where Texans come to protect their legacy and prepare for the second half of life. Join your host, attorney Kim Hegwood with Hegwood Law Group, and our weekly guest as we navigate the challenges that emerge as life happens. Now here's your host, Kim Hegwood.
Good morning, and welcome to Life Happens. Today I have a very special guest, Carmalyn McCracken, and she has a company called You Got Joy. And so real quick for our listeners, tell us about your business.
Sure. First of all, Kim, thank you so much for having me. I love whenever I get an opportunity to talk about joy and finding joy. So I have been in the business of joy for approximately, almost 3 decades now. Oh, it makes me sound more experienced than I thought. I like to consider myself a joyologist because I not only study joy and its benefits, but I also help others discover joy in their life. So as a life coach, that's what I do. I help others discover joy that is already there, but they just didn't know. And I help them find it in many more ways than they thought expected.
So, 2020 was a rough year for everybody, and kind of real rough. And so how do you help people find joy, when they're going through COVID and having to deal with all the things that have occurred over that?
Sure. Well, and that's the beauty about joy. It's really not a magic trick. I like to tell people I work with that it's not hocus pocus and you use a magic wand, but it's focus. What are you looking for? Because research shows whatever we look for is what we will find. So when something like COVID happens for a year plus now, the question I ask others is, what are you looking for? Are you looking for all the ways that life is no longer the same and it's difficult and things become obstacles? Because then you will see those everywhere. If you look for obstacles, you will find them. Trust me, they're there. They're always there. So what I like to do is help people refocus and look for the beauty in their days, the joy in their days. So even when you're having a bad day, you can still find joy. Joy and happiness are two very different principles. You can not be happy and still have joy. So that's, I think, the main thing I try and do. So in COVID, what I would do is work with clients, or when I was working with different people, I would ask them, well, let's take a look at what happened today. And they would kind of walk me through their day. And then I said, okay, so now let's walk through your day again, but I want you to put on different glasses, if you will, and look through those lenses. And I'll help them walk through and discover things they might have missed along the way because they weren't looking for the joy. It was there, but they weren't looking for it. So COVID, to me, has given us a great opportunity to turn obstacles into opportunities to show what is important to us. It kind of simplified. It kind of took away a lot and left us with bare bones. And then the question is, in those bare bones, what are the most important? What brought you happiness? Where did you find sunshine today? Does that make sense?
Yes. And so, but for real quick though, I'm going to kind of lay one on you kind of sideways, because I think it would help to clarify how you see the difference between joy and happiness.
Yes. Okay. So we'll go through a couple of notes that I like to make sure I touch on everything. Okay. So first of all, you cannot be happy without being joyful, but you can be joyful without being happy, like I talked about a second ago. And I'm just going to give you some differences between joy and happiness to help us understand. So joy is continuous. It's always there, whereas happiness is fleeting. Actually, the word happiness comes from the Latin hap, which means fortune, and luck. And so we become happy when we're lucky. Oh, I'm so glad I got the green light. Aren't I lucky? That makes me happy. Whereas joy is constant. It's always. Joy is permanent. It is settled. It is down deep in us, whereas happiness is temporary and fickle. When you get a new car, you're happy. Oh my gosh, I got a new car. I'm so excited. But then you get a flat tire or your engine breaks. Now you're not so happy because, again, it's a temporary status. So joy is always. Joy is really closely linked to gratitude. And the more we practice gratitude, the more we see joy every day. Joy is based on choice. Happiness is based on chance. So often you see all the cliche, choose joy. And I'm like, yes, choose it because it's there. It's a choice. That means it's always an answer. The question is, do you choose it as an answer, or do you choose some of these other things? Okay, one last example. I'm very visual. I'm also very Italian, so you can see me using my hands a lot. Okay, so joy is like a fire made of oak. Oak embers that give off heat all night long, long after the embers die down. Whereas pine, it goes, happiness is like pine, a fire made out of pine. It goes poof, and it's real exciting. And oh my gosh, there's flame. And then the fire goes out and the embers die down and it's cold and you're no longer warm. So I like to think about that. Joy is kind of this soft little fire inside of us burning all the time. Does that kind of give you, help you kind of clarify?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. I do understand the firewood one, so that works out really well.
Yes, good.
So how do you know, caregiving has been very difficult. And
Yes.
So, I mean, caregiving is difficult anyway. And so,
yes.
So now that it's, last year's proved to be so difficult because of, not being able to do the things that you would normally do. So how do you help caregivers find joy in the circumstances that they're finding themselves in today?
Okay, yes. So one thing I like to do is help caregivers stay in the present moment. Everything in our past has already happened. Everything in our future hasn't happened yet. So this moment right here is the moment we're promised, right? This right here, talking with you, I'm present. I'm watching you with my eyes. I'm listening to you with my ears. I'm drinking some hot coffee. So I'm very present right now, talking with you about joy. A lot of other stuff right now in my life is going on. It's a lot of chaos. But while I'm here, I become present. So as a caregiver, it is so important to do the best to stay in the present, because fear is in the future, guilt is in the past, but in the moment we're here, again, we can choose joy. So they say if you have to move 10 inches from where you are right now to find joy or be happy, you will never find it, because it's going to be one of those, well, when I get to this point, or when this happens, or when that happens. But right now is where we are. So as caregivers, what can we do right now to be in the moment? We can take a few minutes, and I love this. Again, I'm a very visual learner, so I try and teach that way. Let's take our five senses. Right now, let's say you wake up, it's been a stressful evening. Maybe your loved one has had very disrupted sleep, so you're tired and you're concerned they're not feeling well. So where do we choose to focus? We could take a few minutes, and that's the beauty about joy. It just takes moments, and say, okay, in this moment, what is something I see that brings me a little joy or reminds me? Well, it's a gorgeous blue sky here in Texas today. So I'm going to take a minute and just enjoy my view for a minute. What is something I hear? Maybe it's quiet and I hear the birds outside. And oh gosh, were they singing this morning? What about something you taste? My day's going to be crazy. I got a lot of appointments to take my loved one to, but right now I'm just going to enjoy this hot cup of coffee and just feel it warm me. What is something you smell? I use peppermint lip balm because I love how it's crisp and fresh, or I like to chew on peppermint gum. I like the smell and it just wakes me up. So what is something you smell? Maybe it's your perfume. Maybe it's your loved one's cologne. And then finally, what is something you feel? I'm sitting in this soft chair. I'm so grateful. Or even late at night, you're laying in bed and you're stressed and concerned. Same thing. I'm laying in my bed and it's soft and my pillow's soft. So that's one of the best things I can do for caregivers, is help keep them in the moment, to remember it's right here by using their five senses, because we have so much going on. And as a caregiver, self-care is so important, and it's so hard because you love your loved one and you want to care for them. Does that answer your question?
Mm-hmm. So, speaking of that, the things you're thinking about, do you find that is so similar to gratitude that you think of how do we practice gratitude, and does that still be joy at the same time? Or
Yes, yes. So again, focus, focus. What are you looking for? The more you focus on everything that's going right, everything that is beautiful in that moment, it's very interlinked with joy. So, and research shows, I think it's fascinating. Some of the things that are so easy in life, like drink 8 ounces or drink your 8 glasses of water, or walk around the block if you can, or practice joy, practice gratitude. These are things that are not very difficult, and yet sometimes we have such a hard time doing them because life gets busy. We're focusing on other things. So, coming back to gratitude, research shows that gratitude helps improve sleep. It enhances your self-esteem. It improves relationships. So, let me give you an example. It's been crazy over here. We've had a lot of crazy health issues in our family, right? So last night, a bunch of our siblings got together to care for a loved one. And in that moment, it was hard and it was scary and it was sad. But what we did is say, what are we grateful? We're so grateful we could all be here, because 6 months ago with COVID, we could not be with our loved one.
yeah,
Somehow or another, we were able to be with her yesterday. We were so grateful. We were so grateful that the nurses were bringing us water, because we had been sitting there all day and we were thirsty. We were so grateful. So throughout the day, even though it was hard and it was sad, we just said, what are we grateful for right now? And we told stories and laughter, and we were grateful for our relationship. So once you start practicing gratitude, you will see there is so much joy always to be found. Now, that's a muscle. And a lot of people are very weak in the gratitude muscle because they haven't used it much, or they haven't used it lately. So just like I can't do 5 push-ups. If you told me, Carmalyn, go do 5 push-ups, I'm like, maybe you could do half of one. But if I practice doing push-ups every morning for 2 weeks, and you called me and you're like, Carmalyn, do 5 push-ups, I'm like, girl, and I got my 5 push-ups. Gratitude is the same. Practice 5 things a day that you are grateful for. Write them down on a napkin, on a receipt in your purse, in a journal. Write down 5 things you're grateful for, and watch in 2 weeks the difference in your life. It feels like magic. It feels like hocus pocus, but it's not. It's focusing on all that you have to be grateful for and realizing so much joy is there.
so you talked earlier about, when we were talking about joy and gratitude and things like that. And I think I remember you saying something about how do you live in the present, or living in the present? We should be doing that. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yes. Again, the best process to being present, and the easiest for us to learn, is to go back to using our 5 senses, because this is the moment. Right now, what do I look around and I see? What do I hear? What do I taste? What do I smell? What do I feel? You're sitting there. It's been a long week. My dad, his loved one, had gotten COVID and was in the hospital for 2 weeks. So he was alone in Chicago. I live in Texas. It was very difficult for him. So when he would call, I would say, Dad, talk to me. What are you doing? What are you looking at right now? Oh my gosh, we have 18 inches of snow and it's so white, and the sun comes down and you see it sparkling, right? Dad, tell me, what is something you ate today? Well, I went to Dunkin' Donuts. I got my Long John, and I love my Long Johns. So what we did is we talked about what was going on presently and what was good about his day. There was a lot of fear, and he was missing his loved one, but I just was able to help keep him present for a little bit to realize, okay, and you just feel your whole body going like this. So being in the present moment, not 10 inches from here, not 10 minutes from here, but right now.
Perfect. And so, all the things that, that you're talking about today, of joy and gratitude and living in the present, all those things help so much with how we feel and how we experience our days and things like that, that it's just such good information. And so I am so appreciative that you came on to talk about this stuff. And because I know it's important, when we're
Yes.
taking care of our loved ones, to even just when we're not taking care of loved ones, just having those days of,
Yes.
we just have to, keep doing those things because it's going to make us better.
Yes. Yes. Kim, I would love to just end with a quick little story illustration.
Sure.
Because again, life happens, as we know. And it's interesting because you could be writing life with your partner all along, and you're always going to still have two views because you have your view, your partner has their view. We don't experience each other's, but we're experiencing the same thing. But there's different ways to see it. So I love this little story. A famous writer was in his study and began writing. Number one, last year, my gallbladder was removed. I was in bed for a long time. Number two, the same year, I reached the age of 60 and had to leave my favorite job. I had spent 30 years with this publishing company. Number three, the same year, my father died. Number four, the same year, my son failed his medical exam because he had a car accident. He was hospitalized with a cast on his leg for several days. The destruction of the car was the second loss. He concluded by saying, alas, it was a bad year. Now, many of us can look back at COVID and probably do the same thing. This last year, right? Okay. So the writer's wife entered the room and she found her husband just looking dejected and sad. And she kind of leaned over and read what he had written. She left the room. She came back with another piece of paper. And she said, honey, read this. And her husband read her version of this past year. Number one, last year, I finally got rid of my gallbladder, which had given me many years of pain. Number two, I turned 60 with sound health and retired from my job. Now I can utilize my time to write more with focus and peace. Number three, the same year my father died at the age of 95 without depending on anyone, without any critical conditions, and met his creator. Number four, the same year God blessed my son with life. My car was destroyed, but my son was alive and without permanent disability. This year was an immense blessing. So the moral is, it's not happiness that makes us grateful, but gratefulness that makes us joyful. There is always something to be thankful for. Both stories, you could look at it from his first point of view or from her point of view. The actions never changed. It was still, my father passed, I lost my job, I had my gallbladder. But the question is, what are you looking for? Because I promise you, if you take moments to strengthen those gratitude muscles, your days will look so much better.
So, Carmalyn, how does somebody find you?
Oh, yes, great. Okay, so you can definitely email me. I believe my emails are on the screen. You can call, text, or leave. Oh,
Okay, so your email is madjacktx.
yeah.
I know at sbcglobal.net. So I know there's got to be a story for Mad Jack Tex.
Okay, thank you for asking. So I have been doing this a long time. And when I first got my email address, I remember getting business cards made like 25 years, 30 years ago. And the woman goes, Mad Jack? That's not very joyful. I'm like, my kids' names are Madison and Jack. So Mad Jack, and I live in Texas. I'm proud Texan for 30 years, originally from Chicago, big Italian family. So my email now is everything that brings me joy. Mad, my daughter, Jack, my son, Texas. My husband brings me joy, but he didn't make it in the email address.
So the phone number, it looks like is 413-225-1985, correct?
Yes. And then also you can find me on my website, yougotjoy.com, yougotjoy.com. I'm also on Instagram or Facebook, You Got Joy. I put lots of tips and techniques and stories to remind you to get building those muscles to live a happy, joyful life. There it is, yougotjoy.com.
There you go. Thanks so much, Carmalyn. I appreciate it immensely. And you take care.
Thank you so much for having me, Kim. Have a wonderful, joyful weekend.
Yes.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Life Happens with Kim Hegwood. Be sure to tune in every Thursday at 10 a.m. wherever you listen to your podcast as we navigate through the challenges that emerge as life happens. The content of this podcast does not establish an attorney-client relationship or constitute attorney-client privilege, legal, medical, financial, or any other professional advice.